All right. So if you want, there you go. So Pledge of Allegiance. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
Oh, that's too bright.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
All right. Terrific. So in this calling the meeting to order, I just wanted to preface it by saying.
Village board meeting. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
We're set? Go ahead, Jeanette.
Okay.
You're set, Karen? Okay.
I'm back.
Okay.
I'm FaceTiming someplace else. Okay.
Oh, all right. So as we call this meeting to order, due to the COVID-19 virus, this meeting is being held as a Zoom meeting. The recording, as well as a transcription of the meeting, will be posted to the village website to comply with the open meeting law and the executive orders made by Governor Cuomo. In addition, the audio recording of this meeting will also be broadcast on Dackland Radio to remain compliant with open meeting laws. The public, if not in attendance tonight, will have until April 27th to remit comments on the 2020-2021 budget. I'll be placing an article in the Hamilton County Express tomorrow morning asking people for feedback on the budget and where they can find the information. So at this time, I'd like a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from March 23rd, 2020.
So moved.
Karen, second? Mark Doniker. Okay, thank you. And then I would like a motion to accept the special meeting minutes from March 30th, 2020, when the proposed budget was approved.
Mark
Doniker, second? Mark Carreri. Okay. So at this point, given that there's one member of the public, I would like a motion to open the public hearing on the 2021 budget. May I have a motion to open to the public hearing?
So moved. Letty.
Ready? Second?
Sure. Mark
Mark Doniker, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay. So for your benefit, Mr. O'Brien, at this time, we will open the public hearing to receive feedback on the proposed 2021 budget for the Village of Speculator. A few points before I open it up for any comments you may have. There will not be a property tax increase this year. After much discussion, I am happy to report that the board is in agreement that this would be the best course of action to assist our taxpayers and our small businesses in the face of economic hardships due to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. We are able to do this in part based on anticipated FEMA reimbursement from the Halloween storm disaster. Second, in this budget, personnel salaries were redistributed based on averages taken from the 2018-2019 PERMA payroll audit. Overtime for all applicable codes have been separated out from the Personnel Services Code based again on the 2018-19 PERMA payroll audit. All employees, with the exception of the 2 wastewater employees, are budgeted to receive a 2% increase in salary, which is above the cost of living increase this year. Wastewater treatment employees will receive a $1 increase based on a prior agreement with the board that was made in 2018 and was done in lieu of hiring a third of an employee after the previous water supervisor retired. This is a final salary adjustment for them under this agreement. Water and wastewater budgets, the expenditures were greatly reduced to more closely align with the revenues, as these departments' expenditures could be completely sustainable or should be completely sustainable by the revenues. Revenues for both departments were estimated for this budget based on the number of users, average usage, and the expected increase in base rates planned for this August. Additional revenues are expected through user services and penalties, but not to any great extent.
Hold on, I have somebody else that is trying to join the meeting. Hold
Great.
on. It might just be a moment.
Yep.
It looks like Stacy's frozen.
Stacy, are you frozen? No.
Maybe. Yes, she is. The same
The,
picture before.
yeah, did you guys lose power?
No.
No, did you?
Yeah, Pacifico lost power. I have my generators going, but the internet might be a little.
Yeah.
Okay. So has anyone else joined?
Not yet.
They still
They're
trying?
waiting. All right, you can continue, I guess.
So, Matt, do you have any comments that you would like to make on the budget?
No comment. Well, I guess thank you guys for keeping it flatline. Been able to do all that stuff. I know it was a lot of work. A lot of things were here and there, and you found a lot of things. But you guys worked very hard and diligent with it, so I appreciate it. And thank you guys as as a resident here, also as a business owner and speculator. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Would the board, anyone on the board like to speak as a resident? Okay. So the rest of the public that is not in attendance tonight will have until April 27th to remit comments on this budget. And again, I'll be placing an article in the Hamilton County Express soliciting feedback on the budget and how they can do that through email, through Zoom, etc. So if there are no further comments at this time, I would like a motion to close the public hearing on the 2021 budget and resume the regular board meeting for the trustees. May I have a
So
motion?
moved.
Karen, and second?
Second, Letty.
Letty, second? Okay, thank you. The public hearing portion is now closed and we resume normal board meeting. So, Crystal, did you want to present the wastewater department?
Ed said that he spoke to you.
I don't,
That's what he told me, that he spoke to you.
he was going to send it?
He did send it. Let me share my screen and I can pull it up. Whoops.
That's great.
Sure. Let me put, okay, that doesn't want to go down, so I'm really sorry. The Speculator Volunteer Fire Department really wants to stay in the, right there where they're meant to be.
Okay, that's great.
All right, here is, I'll cover the screen.
Okay, so monthly reports for the water department were submitted and reviewed, and April samples are going out this week for testing. They are continuing checking the system for phosphate and chlorine weekly and bi-weekly respectively. They've done the readings at Camp of the Woods, and as you know, Camp of the Woods is also on pause, so there's no activity going on over there. So those readings should be greatly reduced. They were able to replace a 4-inch high-low meter with a new fully integrated meter. Ed determined today that pump number 1 is not functioning properly. He has asked someone to come up. The problem is that the only people who can come up and evaluate are from Schenectady, but he's assessed it and is unable to determine what's wrong at this time. So the best case scenario is that it needs a new pressure sensor. Worst case scenario is that the valve needs to be replaced. So this has been budgeted for June. We hope that we can have it limp along until then, but he'll let us know what happens. They are keeping up with the COVID criteria or requirements regarding office cleaning, washing hands, etc. 2 separate breaks have been fixed in the Wolf complex. Those are the little cabins to the right of Bear Run as you're going towards the wastewater treatment plant. At this time, the 2-inch line servicing the area continues to break annually. He suggests that the best fix is to replace the entire line because there are so many wraps from prior breaks and it's only going to continue to break down. So research still has to be done before he can move forward in this plan regarding who exactly those pipes, whose responsibility is it. He has been told that this was taken over by the village in the 1970s, but he's looking for paperwork to confirm that. So if anybody knows where that information is, that'd be very helpful, Fred. Expenditures, pretty standard with Ferguson Waterworks, Charlie Johns, and Stevenson's, and they are still maintaining and checking the water system for leaks. And again, the annual cleaning and maintenance for the chlorine system is yet to be done for the remainder of the year. So wastewater, a little further. Okay. So they have submitted the WTC form to the DEC, and they're still awaiting approval for the polymer that we are currently using. The report for the month has been completed, and the annual withdrawal report has been completed and submitted. Their operations, they've replaced clarifier number 2, digester number 2, effluent tank number 2, those valves in the blower room while construction was in progress. They've cleaned effluent tank number 2, removed buildup of rags from digester number 2. The outside tank number 1 is in operation, and they're awaiting diffusers to replace those in aeration number 2 that have gone bad. They've had to pull pump number 2 at the pump station as it was lodged with flushable wipes. So we desperately urge the community not to flush wipes. This seems to happen every year, and if we can make people aware of that, so much the better. And they have begun to do spring cleaning. They'll continue checking the stations bi-weekly. They are continuing to review their budget to try and keep things on track to close out the year. Once weather begins to cooperate, they will begin preventative maintenance on the pump stations and continue their inspection of manhole covers. They've also been very busy with the FEMA report that we're trying to put together. We did have a meeting that I'll talk about a little bit later this past week that they were very instrumental in. So the upgrade project, they've been very busy over there. So at this time, the new drives have been replaced in both plants. Concrete patchwork has been done in the tanks. The valves, bypass, check valve at pump station 1 have all been completed. And the only thing left in this portion of contract 1 is to replace the pumps in the panel. We are awaiting delivery on those pumps. We were originally going to have 2 more contracts to finish the upgrade project, but Ed has decided that we'll combine them both into one final contract instead of having 2 separate ones. He feels as though we've waited long enough to proceed and should accomplish what is left sooner rather than later. Contract 2 should be ready to go out to bid within the next couple of months, as Lamont engineers have already begun working to get it going. With regards to DEC, the new Speedies permit will go into effect May 1st. And at this time, Ed is modifying reporting to comply with the new limits and terms. He's also creating a copper monitoring schedule in order to comply with the Speedies permit as well. Any comments, any questions?
Yeah, I have a comment. How long is it going to take to combine into one final contract? And should we keep them separate to continue work? Because they've been very, very slow on completing contract work, both in design and the final contract. So I'm just a little bit worried that making them into one is going to be monstrous and nothing will get done.
Well, I think Ed is thinking that if we combine the 2 into the contract, we can consolidate the design phase and the bidding out for contracts. But we can have that question back to him.
Okay.
Right. All right. Any other comments?
No.
All right. So they've been busy over there, and we have seen some progress. So yeah. All right. We can take that down, Crystal.
Okay. Just to let everybody know, we just added another person. I believe it's Bobby Hoover, since she asked me for the password just a few minutes ago. Bobby, is that you? Yeah, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Okay. Jeanette, if you're ready, I'll move on to my report. Whoops, the wrong
Yes,
thing.
that would be great.
There's a few things, quite a few things on mine. NICOM has planned several webinars in the next couple of weeks to explain guidance during the COVID-19 virus pandemic, all the shutdown. They've decided that they're going to do a bunch of webinars, which is great. I plan to attend, especially the one this week for the explanation of election guidance, both from the state and NICOM. On Friday, I also attended a webinar on the open meeting law and public hearings during the COVID-19 pandemic. It was very detailed webinar with a lot of great guidance on the executive orders that were given by the governor. There are a few areas that I wanted to just highlight. I also have the slides saved if any of the board would like to review them. There's about 42, so I didn't send them to anybody because of
Thank you.
the size.
Thank you.
But if anybody
That's
would like
great.
to review them, I'm happy to share them with you. One, the governor's executive order 202.1 authorizes the public body to meet remotely by conference call or similar service. If a public body restricts in-person access to the meeting or conducts the meeting remotely by conference call or similar service, there are 3 stipulations. 1, the public meeting must be allowed to be viewed or listened to through video or teleconference like we are doing now. 2, it must be recorded, and then it also must be transcribed. And those recordings and transcriptions must be made available to the public. Anything that is discussed that has an attachment like we usually do with our minutes must be also made available on the website, which we currently do when we attach them to the minutes, but I might put them on a little bit ahead of time just to kind of be a little bit more compliant with the times at the moment. If a public body can't comply with the executive order 202.1 and must hold an in-person meeting, this is only strictly if it's 100% necessary. They must comply with all of the CDC and New York State DOH recommended practices, which is social distancing, limiting seating, 50% facility capacity, holding meetings in a larger facility, asking individuals who are sick not to attend, and extra cleaning before and after. As far as I'm concerned, we really don't have to do that, especially since we're doing these video conferences. It seems that we are perfectly compliant. As far as holding the public hearing during this time, the law states that the public must be given reasonable and meaningful opportunity to be heard. So giving the public a reasonable opportunity to submit meaningful comment via online video conference technology and in writing by email, it helps us comply with the executive order, as well as helps us have a strong case if we were ever to be challenged for our actions. There is a lot of information on the NICOM website as far as guidance during this time. There's a large red button on nicom.org that says click here for guidance and resources. I did this when I was not logged in today from my own computer and was able to see many of the items on the website. So I'm sure that even if you don't have access, you would be able to go on and look at the different items, many of the different items that are there. Moving on, The proposed budget for 2021 has been made available on the website for the public to view. I'm also going to post the recording from tonight and the previous week, the previous meeting, the special meeting for the presentation of the budget on the website as soon as possible, as well as transcriptions for both. That way the public does have ample time to listen or read about the budget and comment before the 27th, just so we're in compliance. Both Stacy and I are wearing masks at the Village Hall to comply with the governor's recommendation that everybody wears a mask in a public building. In the next few weeks, while we are waiting out this pandemic, there are many projects that we can do at the Village Hall, which is, it's kind of, even though it's a kind of a strenuous time, it gives us a little bit of availability to do these projects that we've been putting off. One is putting together that report of revenues for the water and sewer department for the past 5 years that was asked or requested by a couple of the board members to do for reference. Also going through the filing cabinets, which is probably not either of our favorite thing to do. But going through them to create a better, more uniform or universal filing system, more easily accessed documents. Also resuming the organization in the storage room, which is at the bottom of our list right now. So this time right now is going to be that time where we can get back there and not be disturbed and stuff like that while we're trying to get that room better organized. And getting ready for summer activities, which, fingers crossed, we'll be able to open the beach this summer. I've already had at least one of our lifeguards asking if we're going to reopen. So, hopeful that we'll reopen this year. And finally, the financial report, which was really easy to close March this month, is ready to view at the Village Hall. So whenever in the next couple of weeks you're available, then you can come by and review it, sign it, and then we can hopefully approve it next board meeting. So that is it.
Hey,
Crystal, would you remind them to stop all purchasing as of May 1st unless there's an emergency?
I will remind them that is coming up pretty quick.
Yes.
As far as I can see, just from, going over the abstracts and stuff, they've slowed down a lot in the last month or two already. So I'm sure that, stopping by the beginning of May will have no problem.
Great.
Crystal, keep in mind advertising for lifeguards, even though we may not be open, but to get ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I have a plan to send out an email to the previous lifeguards to see if they would like to come back this year. I'm planning on sending that out this week. And then if there's, for any reason, somebody doesn't want to come, we have a vacancy, then I do have one person that's taking the course right now in school. Okay. That might be willing to work this summer as well. So I do have someone kind of on reserve. So
the two from Wells, the long-term ones, I doubt will be back.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking to, what's his name? It eludes me. I saw him, and he indicated to me that his mother was having difficulty getting lifeguards wherever she's overseas. So they would probably be helping her out this year. But
yeah, I know last year they helped out a lot. So yeah. I'm hoping this year that at least one of them will be able to help us out. Especially since we don't really have anybody else qualified to do the lessons.
Right.
And that's really something that's kind of special to be able to have. So, especially for free. So.
Crystal?
Fingers crossed. Yes.
Crystal, request. On future financial audits,
Mm-hmm.
the general account in particular, could you put all the pages of the bank statement on there?
You want every page of the general bank account there?
There was only the cover, the page 1 of 12.
Right, which, I mean, the rest of the bank
Well-
statement is in our files, so if you ever want to look at it,
Okay.
you're able to look at that. The only reason we put just the top sheet in the financial report is so that you can see the beginning and ending balances that
Okay.
reflect in the I don't have it in front of me, but in the reconciled,
Okay.
the check reconciliation. So.
All right. Well, I was trying to trace a transaction, so I guess I'll go back in the office and pull the
You
whole
can
bank.
come in anytime, and they're right in the filing cabinet with the treasurer's files. So
All right.
I can pull
Great.
it out for you anytime.
Great. Thanks.
Are there any other questions for Crystal?
No, thank you.
Right. It really has been a challenging time, and Crystal, thanks for keeping us organized and making sure we're on track with the elections, with our open meeting law, how to conduct our open hearings. There's a lot of moving parts.
Thanks. It's been interesting, to say the least.
Yes.
And Stacy's been a big help with her office hours. She's been
Yes.
holding the fort down there. So while I've had to be at home with the kids, so I'm working from home. So
Yeah. Okay. So at this time, may I have a motion to approve abstract number 20?
Mark, go ahead. Mark and Mark.
Okay, Mark Crary and Mark Doniker, first and second. All in favor? Any discussion or any questions?
No.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that passes, and we will pay abstract number 20. Moving on, under old business, first is the budget. So I think we've discussed that. The public has an opportunity to comment in email regarding the budget by April 27th. Information regarding that will be put in the paper this week to solicit that feedback and information. There's a lot of activity going on with FEMA as we approach our deadline at the end of next week. I'm telling you, if I had any more room for gray hair, I would be growing it. Geez. So last week, we were able to meet with Ed Charpeau, Lamont Engineering, myself, representatives from FEMA and New York State Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services to go through our engineering reports for several areas. So we were discussing the generator down at the plant. It looks like we may have an opportunity, not through FEMA, but through New York State, to actually source a grant for a new generator, or at least somehow improve the generator that we have, which would be great. That would be under CFR 404 funding. The second is Pump Station 1. There are some opportunities to further evaluate the damages there. But right now, we have provided a temporary fix and what we feel is a final fix, and we will be able to submit that for reimbursement. Pump Station 2 needs more definitive information. Pump Station 2 is the one on Route 30, and what happened during the storm is that it lifted up and tilted. So it's never a good thing. There's a little bit more investigation before we move forward on that. There's damage to the Elm Lake Road culvert, about halfway down on the paved section. It looks like we will have to do an H&H study to see if the size of the culvert needs to be replaced and what will be needed as far as the head wall and armoring the ditch around the edges feeding into and out of that culvert. So we will be engaging Hamilton Soil and Water with help on that. The fifth is Marion Avenue. So as you all know, this fall that was replaced. A lot of work went into that. We will be able to fix the head wall and fixing the armoring that was all washed away, and that should be very straightforward. The last tricky part is that there is a water line that crosses the Sagandaga on the lake side that has now become exposed because of the back and forth motion during the Halloween storm of the water going back and forth. So we are looking to see whether we can document the extent of the work would be required, and see what we can do to ensure that that's covered properly. So there's some investigation going on behalf of the engineers, on behalf of New York State, and as well as the FEMA group to see what we can do to address that. But it was a very productive meeting, and I am finalizing with Crystal, Ed, and Roger the final spreadsheets. So this contains the debris and debris workforce and equipment, the emergency actions work that was taken, as well as that equipment, the contracting that we had done for the wastewater treatment plant that covers the evaluation, repairs, and engineering reports, the management portion, which gets to be quite extensive, as well as our donated resources from our volunteer fire department, as well as myself. So that's moving along. Next on the agenda is the Verizon small cell towers. To update you, we have submitted, or we have been provided with, they've changed, let me back up. Verizon has rethought their thinking and does not want a master licensing agreement that would discuss right-of-ways that the village has, because we don't have any poles in right-of-ways. So they are going to do a site-specific agreement. It has been reviewed by the lawyer, Katie Smith, and we should be submitting that to Verizon. So would anyone like to see that specific contract before I submit that?
No.
It's pretty straightforward. All right, so that'll go in today after the meeting. Okay, McComas Fire Tower. We are waiting on our contract. I reached out to DEC. We are waiting for what's called an MWBE waiver. So this is minority and women business owned waiver that they have to sign. So our DEC representative has said that there are at least 3 of his projects that are stuck at this phase. And he's put a request into that department for the waiver, and hopefully we should hear back soon. A second point on the McComas Fire Tower, Lori Rankin reached out to us. She is the New York director of Forest Fire Lookout Association. And she had contacted me for confirmation for a planned program that she would like to have with Marty Podkoch. Is that the name, Letty?
Mhm.
So Marty would love to come and speak to the community to set that up. It's been tentatively scheduled for June 30th, and she was calling to see whether we wanted to confirm or push this out a little further. My gut feeling is June 30th would be ideal for July 4th, but since so much is unknown, I'm wondering if there's any wisdom on pushing it farther into August, closer to Labor Day, and just wanted to get your thoughts before I respond back to her.
I'd agree to push it back as far as we can.
Like the last week of August?
Yeah. And even then, you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's going to be challenging. Anyone else's thoughts?
That's fine.
Yeah.
I think holding off till August, it might be a good idea also.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so last week. It should be a great program because Lori would like Marty to speak. The owner of the tower, how it was acquired. He'd like to come down, as well as Lori Rankin, who's very enthusiastic about saving the fire tower. So I think it's going to be a good program. All right, LED streetlights, we are still waiting for a buyout despite multiple emails asking. Right, number 6 on old business is the employee handbook review and update. I'd like to
Another disappointment.
but you know what? 2 weeks from today, we are gonna crack at least a small portion of it so that we can, put an underline over that and say finished.
It'll be out of date by the time we get it done.
Yeah, we do.
Jeanette, can we just do that in one a separate meeting in the afternoon just to get that done?
What more is there to do?
There's a few more sections left.
Yeah.
A few.
Yeah. I mean, not they're not huge. The issue that Crystal and I have discussed is that any public meeting that we hold
Yeah.
has to not only be recorded on video, but it also has to be transcribed word for word.
Why don't we just wait until we can meet in public and,
Well,
and not have to deal with all that?
I think
That's a lot of extra work for her.
well, we are looking into, we being Stacy and Crystal, are looking into some opportunities to use direct transcription while the meeting is going on. So we're testing that today.
Oh,
So if that works well, I think it'll be fine to go ahead and progress with that.
okay.
But for
But it
right
could-
now, we're keeping it short.
It could be a separate meeting and, open to the public and,
Right.
through Zoom and we just do it at 2:00 in the afternoon or something.
Well, we might have to do it a little bit later to make it, well, I guess people are staying home now. So. All right. So that covers old business, new business. I have to say that I've been very busy with the COVID-19 update. So as you are aware, and as I've informed you, there are presently 3 confirmed cases of the COVID virus in Hamilton County, one of which is an employee at the Speculator Primary Care Clinic. Tomorrow, I'll be participating in the Hamilton County Department of Health phone call, and if there are any changes to that, I will update you as I have in the past. A few mandates that have come down from the governor's office. First, some of this may not be new to you. So Pause New York has been extended to the end of April. So 4/29 is the new extension date. It looks like there may be some flattening of the curve, although the death rate continues to be over 700 a day. And it hasn't quite reached all of upstate New York yet. Second, we are looking to, there was a mandate, although we were ahead of the curve, there's a mandate to provide essential workers masks to wear while interacting with the public. I have to say that this is one of my most heartening things that I participated in this week and last week. About 55 to 60 fabric face masks have been made by ladies in our community. We have distributed about a dozen to seniors and those who are infirmed. We've provided 10 to Charlie John's. We've provided them to Sunrise, DPW, wastewater treatment, the office staff, employees at the state home. We've given them 6. The fire department, we've given about 10 to 12. We've provided 8 to children and another one to Dr. Parslow. So we began supplying these fabric face masks early last week. And I would personally like to thank Pat Sorbello from Lake Pleasant, Lori Whiting from Lake Pleasant, Kelly Hayes from Lake Pleasant, Kelly Toogood from the Village of Speculator, and Marcia Boner from Wells. They have done a tremendous job.
Jeanette,
Yes.
I was in Charlie John's and they said if we could get more, they would appreciate it.
Okay, I have not been contacted by them, but I will.
I talked to 2 of the ladies there.
Ah, okay.
And I said I would ask you.
Sure. They have been very generous. It's been extremely difficult getting supplies, and if any of you have access to any thin elastic, please let me know, because these ladies will turn it into masks. Okay, so the next is procedures were updated for primary care. Those were sent out that was distributed in a letter by Lake Pleasant, and I found it posted on Facebook, so that's available to you and was provided. There's an executive order as of last Thursday to fly flags at half-mast for COVID, so we are complying with that request from the governor. And then, no, okay. And then we have updated the village webpage with information provided by ANCA for business owners with respect to loans, grants, payroll, help with payroll assistance, as well as free assistance with e-commerce. So for those business owners who now find themselves having to take orders over the phone, doing takeout orders and wondering how you can pay by webmail, ANCA has a connection with the school up by them, and they are providing free assistance with these websites to help our small businesses. So I've sent this information to the Chamber of Commerce, Hamilton County IDA, local business owners, Hamilton County Chairman Board of Supervisors, and Lake Pleasant Supervisors. So if you know anybody, send them to our website. There are direct links for that. Now, Mr. O'Brien, we look at our fire department new slate of officers. Did you want to make any comment about that? Crystal,
No.
put up the
Yeah.
letter.
Do you want me to put up the letter that was provided? Okay. Let me put that up. Hold on, let me. There we go. There we go.
Ooh.
All right, there's the letter.
Yep, perfect. So there's been a few changes, not too many. As you can see, president was Ryan, now it's Glenn Williams. Ryan is still going to do all the grant writing, all that stuff. I know we've talked with Ryan a bunch, and I know the mayor's talked with Ryan that any other grants that we go in for, he's going to let us know, let the mayor know, and let the board know that what's going on, so that you guys know what we're going for and things like that, and if there's any upfront costs or costs at the end, so that we're not blindsided again. I mean, it was a shoot in the dark with the truck, and we got it, so it's crazy. So like I said, Glenn Williams is president. This year we put Tim Underwood. We appointed a deputy treasurer to work with Bob Peck, with the transition period probably going to be happening here in the next few years. We just want to get somebody in there that can learn the ropes with Bob. Just making sure that's there. See, also second assistant chief would be Mike Tracy now, and that put Rob Peck down to first captain, which is kind of we're just moving people around, kind of putting new people in places, you know, to get them up there, get them some knowledge and stuff like that. And then also making the safety officer Bob Peck as well. So that seems to be that. We did it via email, all that stuff. So everybody, it was a unanimous vote. Everybody was happy with everything. No complaints yet. Still at the fire department, we're limiting the usage down there. We wrote up something. No more than 3 people in the building at a time. No family members are allowed in there until all this is kind of settled down. If we do get a fire call, which luckily enough we haven't had one in quite some time, as I knock on a lot of wood, the plan is that the bulk of all the members will go to the fire hall, wait there. There'll be kind of a small team to go out and kind of see what the situation is, so that we're not exposing, if there is an exposure out there, exposing all of the fire department to something, especially if it's just a false alarm. But, you know, it may cause a small slowdown in response, but I think it's it's worth a risk there. We've got a few guys that are going to be those point people that go to the call, see what it is, and report back, and then allows us to know what else we got to do and if we are fine staying there and staying safe.
Terrific. And as I said, about 10 or 12 masks have been delivered to the fire department, and they will be distributed and used by the firemen down there. So I think at this time, we are looking for a motion to approve the slate of the volunteer fire department officers. So may I have a motion?
So moved, Letty.
Letty, and second?
Second.
Karen? Any discussion? I had one question, Matt.
Yep.
So the pecking order, if you will, would be the chief first, then the first assistant, second assistant, first captain, second captain.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. So I thank you again, and Ryan as well, for the grant writing, and to confirm what you said. We are going to work together to make sure that we understand if there are any portions that need to be paid outside of the grant, how those will be paid for. Either are they going to be budgeted or not, or would they come from the fire department who's done that in the past, for which we're grateful. In addition, I did want to note that we will not need any trucks for the next 13 years, Lord willing. So let's pay off what we've got and move on from there. Okay. Any comments? Okay.
No.
So going to the board roundtable, I think I have talked enough. Anybody have anything to say or comment on or to bring up?
Bill?
Nope.
I'm good.
So we will open it up for public comment.
I'll just say something quick. I know, being a small business owner, I know we're all this PPP, the paycheck thing, and then also the small business loan, the $10,000 grant. It's been very difficult for a small business to actually fill this up, or to get it through to where it's got to go to. I filled out the $10,000 grant loan the second day it came out, and that was almost 2 weeks ago now. Haven't seen a dime. Been through a lot of webinars with different scary industry stuff, and it sounds like we probably won't see that for quite some time with the payroll protection plan. That's another thing that banks are not comfortable doing that right now. They feel there's too many open things and too many things that are there's just too many uncertainties for them, and they're not willing to take the risk right now. So I think that's still going to be a thing. MBT is not accepting any applications. I know the only bank that was for a couple of days was Bank of America, but honestly, nobody has seen any money from this. So there's still a big thing here, a big problem that we're facing.
Wow. I'll reach out to Anka and see if they have any insights.
Yep.
But I've heard that from one or two other people, that it's not going as quickly or as smoothly as one would have thought it would.
That's it.
Okay. Good. Anybody else? Okay. So we'll close public comment, and Letty, if you would like to make
You know me, I'm right there.
all right, and your motion would
Good
be?
night, Letty.
So I'm looking for a motion to call this meeting to a close.
So moved.
Letty didn't make the motion?
Uh-oh, I beat her to it? Oh,
I'll second it.
Okay,
oh, please.
Letty will second it. She's a little slow today. All in favor?
I'm slow every day.
Okay, and all opposed? All right, so this concludes our meeting. Our future meeting will be on April 27th. If we do have a meeting that will come sooner to finish up the employee handbook. We will let you know. In the meantime, we'll be soliciting comments or questions on the budget. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Safe.
Thank you.
Masks.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Crystal.
Bye.
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 Slowly waiting for everybody to